And as the CCP virus continues spreading around the world, some overseas Chinese are taking a stand against the communist regime. They are apologizing to the U.S. and the world for the party's actions. In a high-risk move, one netizen inside China uploaded a video calling for the dissolution of the Communist Party for the sake of future generations. He says while the virus is terrible, the ideology installed by the Communist Party regime is even worse. He called on people to stand together and resist the CCP.
At this moment of disaster, I advocate that all conscientious and righteous Chinese and members of the Communist Party can stand up and dissolve the Communist Party. The virus is terrible, but even more terrifying is Marxist-Leninist communist atheism. Marxism-Leninism is a spiritual plague, and this spiritual plague brings disaster everywhere.
The video has since gone viral. Zhao signed off by saying that he believed in God, had no mental health issues, and if he were arrested, would not commit suicide. This is because if he were killed in custody, authorities may say he committed suicide. He added he is healthy, had no fever, and had been isolating at home for quite some time. He told our sister media, the Epoch Times, he made the video because there's still a chance for change.
First, I am in good health. Second, I have no fever and have been in self-isolation for a long time. Third, I believe in God and Jesus Christ. I have no mental illness at all and will not commit suicide.
Chinese authorities lifted travel restrictions on many cities inside Hubei, China's virus epicenter. Residents are allowed to leave as long as they have a green code showing their health is in good standing. However, the neighboring provinces aren't convinced it proves people are disease-free. On March 27th, a video circulating on the internet shows Hubei residents putting up a banner on a road leading to Anhui, protesting local government setting up barricades to bar entry to Hubei residents. One of the banners reads, "The pandemic is heartless, but humans have compassion. Why aren't you letting me in?" And Anhui isn't alone. On the same day, police from Jiangxi province prohibited Hubei residents from entering their region. Police from both provinces broke into a fight. Video circulating on the internet shows more people later joining the fight, shouting, "Hubei go! Hubei go!" Multiple videos show people clashing with police. Amid the chaos, a police car was overthrown. The fight underscores people's distrust, even though Chinese authorities have eased lockdown in Hubei, saying the outbreak is under control. Not everyone is buying it. One netizen said the outbreak is actually pretty serious still. To bring the economy back on track, the central government can only say the outbreak is under control in order that the lockdown be removed. The local government knows what is actually happening. That's why they don't let Hubei residents in. Another user said they are following the example set by their superiors. Isn't Beijing barring entry to Hubei residents? Then why would other places allow them in? Another Twitter user said, so the Chinese Communist Party is eager to turn internal conflicts into external conflicts. They will find trouble with the U.S. Following the CCP playbook, they want anti-Chinese violence to happen overseas so that Chinese people will unite against external forces. And though the dire situation in Wuhan continues, the Chinese regime has been ramping up its aid to foreign countries. Experts warn that Beijing may have bigger political plans.
If you watch China's state media, it's hard to miss a common theme in their current COVID-19 coverage.
中国政府决定向塞尔维亚派遣抗疫医疗专家组。
目前的专家组已经抵达柬埔寨首都金边。
12名医疗专家飞抵米兰。
Despite the suicide, deaths, and starvation that's still going on in Wuhan, China, the authorities are spending money to ramp up aid to foreign countries and touting the importance of cooperating with China. But some are warning that the free lunch from the Chinese Communist Party may not be so easy to swallow.
where the situation is...
Josep Borrell is a high representative from the European Union. In a recent bulletin, he wrote to his colleagues in the bloc that Western leaders should stay alert. He said through Spain and the politics of generosity, Beijing might be seeking international influence. A China affairs commentator said this is a trick commonly used by the communist regime.
First, they beat you and break your leg, and then they kindly offer you a walking stick. Now people are talking about how helpful the CCP stick is. It works so well. It has so many functions. But if the CCP didn't break your leg in the first place, if it didn't create the crisis, you wouldn't even need this walking stick.
The Chinese regime silenced whistleblowers and cracked down on journalists to cover up the outbreak. It also hid that the virus is contagious among humans, allowing it to spread in China and globally. As of Thursday, nearly 430,000 people outside of China have contracted the disease. After China's outbreak reportedly eased up, the regime launched a campaign to shift the blame to US and Italy. Experts, state media, Chinese ambassador and foreign ministry spokesmen all joined the campaign. Tang said in discrediting the US and Europe, the CCP has bigger plans.
If the CCP succeeds in pushing their narrative, not only are they not responsible for their crimes, somehow the CCP became the hero that saved the world.
One narrative China has been pushing during the pandemic is its superior political system compared with Western democracy. Some say that narrative has penetrated into Western media. In a recent interview on Epoch Times American Thought Leaders, China affairs journalist Maura Moynihan voiced her concern.
It was very alarming to see on NBC News an anchor had a guest, an American woman, who was praising the Chinese Communist Party for their tremendous control and how they're doing so much better than America.
A previous undercover investigation by NTD found that a funeral home in Wuhan was reporting only about 6% of death from COVID-19, suggesting the real death toll in China could be dozens of times more. Tang said the Chinese regime has politicized the pandemic to achieve its goal, convincing the world that China's system is the better alternative.
It's trying to replace the US to become the world leader, and then export its totalitarian way of governing, the kind of digital totalitarianism that we are looking at right now in China. The CCP is trying to export and expand it to international society. Its ambition is basically to govern the entire world.
But he said what we are seeing today is the same as what happened with SARS, another pandemic caused by a deliberate cover-up from an oppressive regime, and people should rethink whether the regime should be trusted if they want to prevent another pandemic. Penny Zhou, NTD News.
A Wuhan resident told us the tragedy he witnessed with his own mother and exposes how the Chinese regime is trying to cover up her death by the CCP virus. NTD Xu and Rong has the story.
Since March 23rd, Wuhan funeral homes have been stacked with thousands of urns and crowds of people waiting to pick up the ashes of their relatives who died during the outbreak. Mr. Yi was one of them.
I couldn't count the number of urns I saw when I went to pick it up. There's a room full of urns. It's not one room, it's as big as a hall in a temple. It was stacked from the inside to the door, and they're also stacked in front of the door.
Yi lost his mother on February 1st. She was cremated within an hour of dying. Earlier that day, Yi had spent more than 10 hours trying to find a hospital that would accept his mother for treatment.
People who came to see the doctor at that time were going to have a CT scan of their lungs. They wanted to separate out the infected first. The doctor saw my mother's lung was infected and said that the hospital couldn't treat it. You have to go to a designated hospital.
Going through 3 different hospitals, still no one could help.
No one can treat this disease. Dial 110, 120, they all don't care. I don't know if it was too much for them or what else. No one cares about you. The doctor told me, I really can't help you here. I don't know how many died in this hall. Your situation is common. You can figure it out yourself.
Finally, after entering the ICU, within half an hour she passed away. But the cause of her death was recorded as respiratory failure. He couldn't believe the official death toll since he himself had witnessed how the regime had tried to cover up the cause of his mother's death. He said he also has a friend whose mother died from the virus, and it wasn't recognized either. He added that those who died from suspect cases wouldn't be counted in the official death toll. Reporting by Shiwen Rong, NTD News.